Hello, love. Welcome back. If you're new, my name is Jennifer Laurel Keller, and I'm an acrylic and mixed media artist and instructor. And today I thought that we could go on a walk together to clear our minds and then go back to the studio for a mixed media project with some found objects. As we go around, I want you to have a look at the details. Nature has an abundance of patterns and shapes that we can use if we slow down and pay attention to the world like an artist. And when I come to this nature preserve, I always see so much wildlife, especially for the valley. It's not really a place you expect to see this much wildlife. And I'm making an effort to get into nature at least once in between creating my art classes on Skillshare, just to recharge my batteries. Okay, so I'm back in the studio and I have this big pile of found objects and mixed media items that I'm considering using for this piece. And I've got this ledger with some cool work in it, some rub-on details, and also the butterflies that I made in my latest class, paper butterflies. I'm going to leave more information about that at the end of the video. But for now, let's take a look at this piece. So this is something I made before. I used a calendar page and kind of reworked a Frida Kahlo painting. There's a tube of paint, that's gouache paint that dried up. And then I have this metal piece, air horn. There was a bird. I started painting over it a little bit, but it's kind of transparent. So at the beginning, I wasn't sure whether I was going to work over Frida all the way or leave her peeking out a little bit. So you'll have to stay tuned to see what happens with Frida. So a lot of people ask me where I get my found objects and mixed media supplies. And the answer is everywhere. It's also a question that people used to ask me all the time when I was a vintage furniture and home decor dealer. I would go out and find vintage items for the home and resell them. Fix them up a little bit sometimes. And people would always ask me, where do you find your stuff? And honestly, the answer is everywhere. If you just look at the world differently, you are going to find stuff everywhere you look. So the question is, how can you reuse it? Because we're taking items that had one use and we're giving them a new use, and we're looking at them for their design and whether they will work within a piece, whether it's a journal piece or a canvas or sculpture. Will it work for you? Do you know how to attach it and that sort of thing? And then how can you alter it? How can you combine it with other objects? So we're just taking things and reworking them into a design. So I go out and find things all over the place. I think there's a misconception that you have to find it on the side of the road or something like that. Like the name kind of implies found object. I think people think that you just found it out of nowhere. It just kind of like you looked down an alley and you found a whole bunch of cool stuff. And that's not true. So expect to pay money for some of these things. Sometimes you can find them for free. Sometimes you have to pay. So if you think of a thrift store is, well, first off, a wonderful place to find found objects and find things that you could repurpose in different ways. But every aisle, every section at the thrift store has potential. You've got the book section, the decor section. Oh, these are my acrylic palette shavings. I have a glass palette, and I take a razor blade, like a paint scraper, and take all of the dried paint off of my glass palette, and then I put it in this jar. So I was thinking I could even reuse those as some sort of element. So anyway, okay, back to the thrift store idea. So you've got your decor section, your kitchen section, the arts and crafts section, appliances, clothing. You can cut up old clothing and linens. Lace is wonderful. The old electronic section often has some analog items that you can repurpose, like those slides I'm using there and the film. I have that pen nib that's next to that tube of paint, kind of up to the right of that tube of paint in the composition. That is from a friend who gave me a bunch of pen nibs. You can repurpose any type of thing. So finding them, the more you do this and post your finished work, the more your friends and family will see it and realize, oh, so-and-so is really interested in doing mixed media artwork, and I have a bunch of old crafting supplies. I should just give them away to my friend or whatever. I get a lot of stuff gifted to me. And I also like to go antiquing. The junkier the antique place, the better. I go to this place that is kind of a warehouse slash barn slash junkyard. And the guy sells all kinds of things from fine antiques to old industrial metal pieces and all kinds of weird stuff. So you have to dig in those places. You have to be willing to crouch down and reach in and find the things, go through the little boxes that are at the bottom of the piles, and look for the gems and really study them and think of them in new ways. You're reinventing items, and you're going to know what you're drawn to. After a while, you're going to start to have a style that you're developing. Like a lot of people use sheet music, but I've just recently started getting more into antique books and writing and using old illustrations and things like that. The more vintage, the better. Everyone can go out to the arts and crafts supply store and buy packs of scrapbooking papers that are reproductions of things that look vintage. But the more you find real, actual vintage things, the more authentic and unique your artwork is going to look. And they're not even more expensive than those fancy packs of scrapbooking paper. I can find a lot of different papers for very, very cheap. at that antique barn. I just, pile them up. He gives me a price, and it's just kind of like a bulk thing. Also, I will warn you, the more you go out to find found object things, the more stuff you're going to own and the more you're going to have to store. So it really pays off to curate your collection and get rid of things as well. So you're going to start out and people are going to give you stuff, or you're going to find things in a friend's garage or whatever. And maybe it's free, maybe it's not, but you're happy you found something and you keep it. But then as you continue, you're going to realize, okay, so I don't think I'm going to use that, but, I want to make some room for some more things. So be discerning about what you actually pick up after a while, because it can get in your way if you have too much stuff and then you can't create at all. Okay, that's everything. In a moment, I'm going to leave you more information about my latest class, Paper Butterflies. But before I do, I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It helps out so much. And let me know in the comments, what type of items do you like to find for found objects, or what you might try and look for next for found objects. Maybe you could even set a little goal to maybe go out into your garage and see if there's anything you're not using that you could repurpose. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you again. I hope you have a great week. Happy creating and much love. One of the most common components in arts and crafts are butterflies. They add a delicate touch of beauty as well as the feeling of spreading your wings and flying free. My name is Jennifer Laurel Keller. I'm an artist and instructor with over 20 years working in the arts, and I've been a fan of butterflies ever since I was a kid, when I collected butterfly stickers and stuck them all over my bedroom walls. And I still love them today. Now, everyone loves butterflies, but as artists, we also want to be unique and different, don't we? We want to stand out from the rest. So in this class, Paper Butterflies, I share a leisurely project where we make our own butterflies from scratch using decorative papers. You can do this in preparation for larger works of mixed media art, collages, or craft projects such as card making, junk journaling, or scrapbooking. In the lessons, I'll provide a quick color theory lesson for picking your palette and talk about how to make more sophisticated butterfly shapes while keeping the inside playful and whimsical. I'll also talk about symmetry, contrast, composition, layering, and how to put them together with a strong adhesive so that they'll hold up even when used alongside wet media such as paints and inks. This class is right for you if you love working with colorful papers and want to add a personal touch to your projects to make them more unique. So are you ready to play? I'll see you in class.